Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, can you believe it? It's already been 1 year since we all paid $10 for Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour and didn't even complain about it. I'll give you this silver knife to save your neck, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society saves your neck with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I'm always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, how's it going?
It's going great. I'm really excited for the episode that everybody is about to listen to.
Yes, because you and I recorded it a little while ago.
Yeah, that's right.
We recorded it before the Nintendo Direct when we thought we had all the time in the world that we could do one episode committed to things that had already happened, like the year of Nintendo Switch 2, and then we could do a predictions episode, and Connor would be there, and we'd have so much fun. We'd have $1 million bet. We'd have to promise to remain friends.
But then egg on our face.
That's right.
Because even though we had looked at the calendar and tried to historically say, when has Nintendo done their June Directs?
Which I think our prognostication was good. It's just that you cannot predict Nintendo's future by looking at their past.
Yeah.
It can't be done. We're fooled into it over and over again.
So what you're about to listen to was in fact recorded before the Nintendo Direct.
Right.
So if we say stuff in here about like, boy, I wonder when that Nintendo Direct is going to happen.
Yeah, or like, you know, the only thing that'll make me happy at this point is a remake of Resident Evil Code Veronica.
Right. If we say those things, know that when we were saying them, we didn't know that they were about to happen.
That's right. There's only so much that we can know about what was going to happen in the future that we could say now, but also I don't remember what we said in this episode. I'm excited to listen back.
I know. I can't fully remember what I said either, but I bet both of us were very wise, whatever it was that we said.
It was wise. I'm sure there was, I bet there was some good insight in there.
I bet it was very insightful.
We have not plugged the Patreon or the Discord, but everyone knows what those are. So
let's do it
check
now.
it out. Look, we've got, if NCS at the Movies is the mini-series that we're doing right now, if you're supporting us at the 8 or 16-bit levels, check out our most recent episode about Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day, with our good friend Greg L. Smith. Great episode. And a bunch of other movies that we've seen this year. We've got episodes about them too.
Yeah, that's right. And also there is content available at every level, including the free level. Some seasons of NCS Arcade. We did 3 seasons of that where we played games that we had never beaten before mostly. And that was always a lot of fun. So go ahead, check it out. Thank you to everybody who follows us over on Patreon. We really appreciate it.
And if you want to be engaged in the conversation that we are having with our audience and our audience is having with itself and with us, you can get in the Discord. So email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com, and we'll send you an invitation. You hop in there and you have a good time chatting. All right. Mark, that's it. We can hand it over to ourselves from the past, talking about even further in the past. Yes?
Yes.
All right. Enjoy. First of all, how's it feel to have this, we were excited.
Yeah, totally.
For the release of the Switch 2. And, it felt like we were having this sort of like epochal movement, right? From one era of Nintendo into a new era of Nintendo. And, there's nothing quite like lining up behind the Best Buy along the dumpsters to pick up your Switch 2 at midnight Eastern time.
Oh, yeah. That was, it was really exciting. You know what? It is interesting that you talk about like this epochal shift from one generation to the next. And this is my first time in, post-COVID experiencing a generational shift in video game consoles like this, because I didn't pick up a PlayStation 5. I haven't bought like an Xbox Series or anything.
Well, and that was contemporary with
COVID.
That's true. So, this is
But-
kind of the first generational shift in a post-COVID world.
But I wonder if I have loved having a Switch 2 for I think like the year of 2026 so far for me has been all about third party stuff. But so I guess like I kind of feel like the generation, as far as Nintendo goes, has not really revealed itself yet. And I wonder if that is the sensation that PlayStation 5 owners felt in the first couple of years of the PlayStation 5.
Still feel.
Possibly are still feeling,
Yeah.
with like all the cross-generational stuff, because there was so much in great continuity, like backwards compatibility, accounts, like all that kind of stuff. The transition from the Switch to the Switch 2 was so smooth that it like doesn't really feel like a new epoch. Do you know what I mean?
It absolutely, you're absolutely right. What's interesting about like the epochal change that we're going through in the video game industry right now has much less to do with the fact that there is a new Nintendo console on the market and more just like with changing market and development conditions, right? To say nothing of like world political stuff, but like that's a different level of epoch that we're not going to discuss here today. But yeah, what has changed in the world of games, I think, just has a lot more to do with the realities of buying and making games. Like one of the big things that happened in the world of games, and therefore for me in the world of the Switch and Switch 2, is the release of Mino the Hollower. But like all of that is tinged by like a game that I'm loving so far. But all that is tinged by like this is a make or break moment, and the game came out like 6 months later than it was supposed to, and that was after being delayed for like a year internally or whatever. So like I do feel like there have been some highs and some exciting things, but also some like really bewildering price points. And some price points that are high but make sense. Some price points that are low but make sense. So yeah, I don't know. It feels. I agree with you that like the fullness of like the Nintendo magic for this generation hasn't been revealed yet. But that we've felt some of like the Nintendo weirdness, both complimentary and derogatory, in this year.
Yeah, I
That's
guess
been specific to this year.
Totally, because just like you alluded to geopolitical stuff that we're just not going to talk.
We're
about.
not going to talk about it.
But like just how
not that we're scared.
But just like how everything in the world feels like it is unsettled.
Yes.
So too does the Switch 2 to me feel like yet to be settled. Everything still feels very in transition, and I've really enjoyed the Switch 2, and like I said, like some of these experiences that would not be available on the Switch. But at the same time, I think I really have to check myself on this, but I think the last Nintendo first party game that is a Switch 2 exclusive that I have played, could it really be Donkey Kong Bonanza?
Well, Dragon Drive came out after that.
Okay, so Dragon Drive.
Yeah, because there's
in August.
Yeah, but that's a long time ago.
And I've played other stuff. Like I picked up Super Mario Galaxy. I picked up Metroid Prime 4 Beyond.
Yeah,
but those were all on Switch 1. Like
yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on whether we consider, not that you've engaged with too much of the like meetup at Bella Bell Park stuff counts as like
Switch 2 editions.
Yeah, but the Switch 2 editions. So because you did play Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
I did.
The Starcross World. So like there is, but that speaks to the weirdness, right? That one of my great like experiences from the beginning of the Switch 2 generation was playing The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which was one of the great experiences of the Switch launch as well. So yeah, everything does seem feel a little bit like cyclical, kind of playing in the old rhythms, with the exception of like a handful of things that I think we'll kind of get to as we talk through later, and stuff that I still want to get you to play at some point.
Right, totally.
But to your point, your year with the Switch 2 has been punctuated by a ton of third-party games,
which is so weird.
I agree.
Because that is not, I've been basically Nintendo only playing Switch.
Yes.
For the majority of the Switch's life. And yeah, so
But even in that time, like some of your, like you played Doom, right?
Right.
You played Outer Worlds.
Yeah.
So there are like a handful of games here and there that fall outside of the first party, or like yes,
Yes, for sure. But all late ports, all,
yes,
like those were the exceptions. And whereas I feel like so far in 2026, the Nintendo stuff has been the exception. And that's also not unsettling to me, but it's different. It's totally
yes.
weird to be like the next I honestly the next first party Nintendo thing that I'm really excited about is Splatoon Raiders. And I know we have Star
Do you not
Fox.
count Star Fox? Okay, yeah.
No, I know we have Star Fox, and I'm looking forward to Star Fox, but I'm less excited for that than
You
I
know it's
am.
not new. Yeah.
I would be, will pick up Star Fox, and I guess I'll probably check it out a little bit, but it'll kind of depend on what I'm playing at the time because I have a ton of third party stuff in my backlog. It's just different.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth,
Exactly,
baby.
exactly. What about you? What are your like overall um feelings on your first year with Switch 2?
Yeah, pretty positive actually. Like you, the last year felt kind of light in that regard. I mentioned that like sort of the highlight for me is playing Breath of the Wild, but you and I both really like Donkey Kong Bonanza, and Mario Kart World has been a surprisingly revisitable game for me. I've had multiple like times where I've gotten online to play with friends, or just been like, well, yeah, I have this game on here. I'm just gonna drive around in the open world, and finding that to be surprisingly fun and engaging. Sarah fell really hard into that, and that open world component in particular. So like, but yeah, again, all of that feels like kind of soft for last year. This year, I've been so much more engaged with. I mean, obviously, Pokemon Pokopia, and recently Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, both feeling like the studios behind those games have unlocked a new gear with those franchises, and like have expressed something like genuinely interesting and fun and fascinating. Um, and then I would say that a lot of my experience has also been just colored by the indie games, specifically Hades 2 and now Mina the Hollower. Those are big, big, big games for me, even though they're $20 games or whatever.
And technically both available
Available
on
on
the
Switch.
Switch.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, that's another thing is that like I do think a lot of the Switch 2 players' experience this year has been colored by games that have come out on Switch 1 as well. Tomodachi Life,
Yeah, that's right.
Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, right? Like that's a big deal to have those games. And I played all the way through Mario Galaxy. I should have played through Galaxy 2, but by the time I was done with Galaxy 1, I was like, that's enough of this for now. But so yeah, I mean, it has been a weird year, but I think I generally like it. I don't need these like day and date releases on Switch 2 because I have a PlayStation 5. And on top of that, I have a PlayStation Portal. So like if I want to have that like Switch experience in my home and just have like the little screen in my hand, I can do that. So uh so that's that feature has spoken to me a little bit less. I will say, well, I don't know. Should we start to like run down some of like the things that were available like on launch and kind of like running through these categories that we have here?
Sure,
Or
yeah.
okay. So we're thinking back to the launch day. We've already kind of touched on the story of picking up yours. But remember what a pain in the butt it was to get pre-orders of these things?
Yes. Oh boy, do I, because I remember having like three different. I had a laptop, my phone,
Yes.
and a iPad going, and like even though I joined the Best Buy like queue later than you and some other people, I got one when other people did not.
Yes.
So it turned out it didn't matter.
Well, and that's the interesting thing, because like I think for the most part, we were chasing that experience of like, We want to go back to that Best Buy where we bought our Switch ones. We want to wait in line at midnight and get them that way. And we just like had that romantic notion in our head.
I think that's definitely true. Also, we just didn't know what the situation was going to be.
Right.
And Nintendo, from the very beginning, was like, we're doing everything we can to have as many of these in stores as possible. But nobody knew what that meant. Nobody knew that it meant, oh, literally, I don't think the Switch 2 has ever been, like, inaccessible.
Yeah, I think maybe there was a period after a week of them being on the market that they were then gone for like another 2 or 3 weeks, and then kind of since then it's been fine, like no shortages. But yeah, like the pre-orders were in shorter supply than the actual system, right? So it was the day of walk into a store, grab a Switch 2 with no pre-order was totally fine.
The other thing that was a first in the US anyways was that Nintendo was selling them directly.
Yes, which is how I got mine, because I had entered like their lottery thing, and was able to pre-order it through them, so it came to me that way. But I also, I remember having, I also kind of went crazy on the Switch launch, and was like, I'm getting all these amiibo, and so I had pre-orders kind of everywhere except for Yonobo. For whatever reason, we couldn't pre-order Yonobo.
The world was lousy with Yonobo amiibo once it launched.
But for whatever reason, you just couldn't pre-order it.
Yeah.
What was happening there?
I don't know.
We'll never get clarity on that. It's a mystery for the ages. But so when I picked up my like launch day array of stuff was the system, Mario Kart World, Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which I got digitally, of course. The GameCube controller, because the GameCube were coming to Nintendo Switch Online Classics, and then Street Fighter 6 and Cyberpunk 2077, and a camera. And all these amiibo. So I got the 4 Zelda Sage amiibo and the 3 Street Fighter 6 amiibo.
And an extra set of Joy-Con.
And an extra set of Joy-Con and a Pro Controller, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I spent $1,000.
I know. Me too. I bought Cyberpunk 2077, forgot that game released, have never turned it on. I maybe should get back to that sometime.
My issue with Cyberpunk 2077 when it launched on Switch 2 at its launch was it, you're in a like post-apocalyptic police state version of Los Angeles, and this was as like protests against ICE operations were like really breaking out here. And so I was like, that's not a fantasy world I want to engage with right now.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about that kind of stuff.
I picked up my first Pro Controller ever, made it through the entire Switch. Not ever, because I owned the Wii one, but I made it through the entire...
I don't know which of those is more embarrassing, Mark.
I made it through the entire Switch generation without a Pro Controller, which prompted somebody that listened to our show on YouTube to be like, I don't think I can respect a show where like one of the hosts never owned a Pro Controller or something like that.
But the other host always did.
Anyways, I own one now. I own a Pro Controller.
Also, let people play games how they want to play games. There's no way this person is still listening to our show.
I know. Picked up a camera.
Have you, outside of Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, plugged this camera in?
No, I don't think so, because I've never used Game Chat. Yeah. I've never engaged in a Game Chat session. I've never played a game other than Welcome Tour that required it. Someday, there was a while where I was like trying to slowly make my way through Welcome Tour, and someday maybe that'll be a project that I continue. But
I was thinking about that recently too, that like, because I had to stop playing because I had it hooked up to a TV that couldn't do the 120 hertz stuff. But now I do.
And I liked Welcome Tour. I like it gave me a really strong respect for how much work and how much thought went into every component of the Switch 2. Like,
yes,
I think it does a really good job of that, but it does it in the form of like quizzes. You're like, I don't know. That's pretty boring.
It's so quintessentially Nintendo though, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, here I am presenting interesting information to you that presents a technological marvel in a new creative light, but also doing it in the chattiest way possible.
Uh-huh.
That is like taking too long and is sort of boring. And you're just like, yep, this is how one experiences Nintendo.
The mini games are pretty like some of the
Mini
mini
games
games
are
are
fun.
pretty fun.
Yeah.
And, get me to use functions of the Switch 2 that I otherwise would not have. So I
I
don't know.
do think it is a remarkable product in that um, so much of what makes the Switch 2 is just technical stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
with nearly every other leap in like a Nintendo console generation, there's been like something that makes it, gives it that special Nintendo. What the heck's going on here?
Especially in modern history, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like the Switch itself, the Wii U, the Wii, the 3DS, the DS.
It's all based around big gimmicks.
Big gimmicks.
Yeah.
And the Switch 2 is like, sorry, no big gimmicks here. It's really just like a state of the art Switch. And Welcome Tour, I think, did a really nice job of being like, here are those features, and like, here's what's fun about them. Here's what's cool about them.
Right. And why like the Joy-Con 2 are more than just a rehash of the first Joy-Con. Like
Absolutely.
they're basically from the ground up, like totally different. And I really, even especially looking back on it and playing more of it, because there obviously was the question of should Welcome Tour just be packed in, and I really firmly believe no, because it is not Wii Sports, it is not Nintendo Land, it is not the thing that shows off like the eureka moment of the Switch 2. It really is for people that want to opt into that experience of learning the minutia of the console.
Yeah, I think there is a nice expectation setting to it where it's like, we want you to opt into this. We don't want you to think that like you can just get the Switch and like, oh, it's okay for the first like week you can just play Welcome Tour.
Right.
No, buy a game.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
But for whatever reason, that $10 price point was, I think, murder for it. So, but you and I both played a fair amount of it and liked it well enough. And then, like I said, I spent a lot of my first couple weeks obviously playing Mario Kart World, but also playing Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I also played a little bit of Breath of the Wild when I first got it. That game is incredible, obviously. Looks great on the Switch, too.
I didn't beat it this time. I got all 4 divine beasts and it upgraded a lot of the armor. Like I was deep. I could have
Yeah.
I guess technically at any point you could march up to Ganon and fight him, but
you were really in a good
I
position
was
to do
probably
that.
ready to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think like Bananza was coming out or something. So,
Right. Yeah, I didn't play near that much. I did, however, play the GameCube Legend of Zelda Wind Waker for a little bit.
Yeah,
and realized I don't really like that game on the GameCube.
Let's talk just generally about the GameCube library as it has appeared on Switch 2. So it launches with Wind Waker, with Soul Calibur 2, and F-Zero GX. I think for both of us, the only game that we even really thought about playing here was Wind Waker.
Mm-hmm.
How deep into Wind Waker did you get?
I got, honestly, not that deep. I got to, I can't remember what it's called. I think like the first dungeon.
Okay.
And just got frustrated by the experience.
Yeah. And like,
I mean, past the
the Forbidden Fortress.
Yeah, past the fortress.
You went to Windfall Island.
Went to Windfall Island, and then the thing after that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
The first like proper dungeon.
Yeah. I didn't make it quite that far. But it's always enjoyable to use that GameCube controller.
Yeah, for sure.
I do. I know that there was like an issue with like input lag or something early on that got patched out. I've not really gone back to Wind Waker to examine if that is still there.
I haven't played anything on GameCube Classic since Wind Waker.
Well,
wait, is that true? No. I turned on Wario World.
So here are the other games that came out throughout the course of the year in this order. Super Mario Strikers in July, Chibi Robo in August. I played a fair amount of Chibi Robo, had fun with it. Luigi's Mansion on the day before Halloween. I also played a fair amount of Luigi's Mansion, had a good time because Luigi's Mansion, fun game. Wario World came out in December. Mark,
I did play some of that, yeah.
Fire Emblem Path of Radiance came out in January. I played the first couple missions of that, but then started playing Fire Emblem Awakening for the Games Club. So, playing 2 Fire Emblem games at once is real sicko stuff, so I had to drop it. And then most recently, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness came out in March, which means it's been almost 3 months, 2.5 months. Since
But I feel like that's a respectable cadence for GameCube games.
we've had 9 come out this year.
Yeah, that more often than every other month. Like I feel like that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
They come out in,
we
like,
start with
phases,
3,
yeah.
and then it's 1 a month, only for 2 months, and then we wait. So yeah, it's a little more of an erratic schedule there. But yeah, I would say that I've not found the GameCube experience that makes me go like, "Whoa, holy cow! I'm so glad that they did this."
But honestly, I mean, I think the typical NSO enthusiast where I'm like, why isn't this thing on here? And then they
And
put
then
that
they-
thing on there, and then I never play
Right,
it.
you're like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, I really don't dive into the back libraries all that often. There are so many of the NSO games.
There
that-
are, and then yet I find myself just playing Super Mario Brothers.
exactly.
Okay.
But there's that collector thing in me
I
that I'm
know.
like, I'm glad that I have access to it.
Right.
But
'Cause I
will
never know.
ever access? Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe I finally will get that itch too.
We start doing an ABCs of something, and I'm like, well, yeah, we're going back into, scat or whatever.
Yeah.
So we touched on the third-party games at launch, specifically Cyberpunk, which we both bought. Mark, I don't think you turned on at all.
Nope. I don't think so either.
I played for a little bit, and I also had Street Fighter 6 at launch, which I've played a laughably little amount of. I also have it on PlayStation 5, that was kind of just me getting swept up by the moment.
Totally.
Other big first-party games at launch include Hogwarts Legacy, Hitman World of Assassination, Civ 7, Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD, and Yakuza 0 Director's Cut, which I don't think either of us engaged with.
I totally forgot about Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD.
I know. It's what's interesting is, with the exception of Cyberpunk, all of these games are game key cards. So the sort of like collector instinct to get these things was just a little bit less, I feel, especially because, like, I don't know, I feel like everyone had this kind of like, wait, what the heck? The game's not even on the card reaction to it. Obviously, I've bought games since then that fall into that category. It's just like, well, this is how it's available. So, but yeah, an interesting third-party lineup at launch, and I think it's only gotten more interesting
For sure.
as the year went on. Okay, we've kind of danced around some of the first-party Nintendo games that you and I have played over the last year. Do we want to just start talking a little bit about Donkey Kong Bonanza?
Yeah, you mentioned Mario Kart World.
Oh, yes.
And I just wanted to agree with you that I think that game is great. I think Mario Kart World is great. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a really good game.
It's a really good game, and it suffers from its place in Mario Kart history just because 8 was this like behemoth of a game with so much content in it, and just like has kind of perfect karting gameplay. But like I do think that Mario Kart World introduced like a new way to engage with the mechanics of Mario Kart.
Yes, I feel like it did what it needed to do. And in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still out there. They're still selling like hundreds of thousands of copies every quarter.
Yeah, crazy.
But we talked about this with where does Smash Brothers go after Smash Brothers Ultimate, and it feels like it needs a reset, a new idea, a new like thing, because you can't just keep making it bigger, bigger, and bigger.
Right.
And it feels the same way with like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe,
Which is also a very big game.
exactly
like, to be clear.
what
Yes.
do you do? You have to reset.
Yeah.
And that's probably never going to be as like big and successful as like the enormous thing that had built up this legacy over like decades, and being the culmination of that. But I think they found a really good way forward that they can build off like this new foundation,
A new foundation of an open world of the knockout tour, of all of these like enemies being playable characters, and
the
like,
different costumes, the Yoshi
Yes,
like
exactly.
drive through
Mhm.
mechanism for unlockables, like all of that stuff is so is really well formed here and just sets themselves up for whatever
success,
that
yeah.
sequel looks like.
Exactly. Like the great things about Mario Kart 8 and Smash Ultimate are that it collected everything, and like that's great. Collecting everything is great, but also we need to, the field of liberty must be watered with the blood of tyrants, and so we got to create some new tyrants and then bleed them, which is what Mario Kart World did. To totally butcher an analogy, but I think
the
it made
spirit
sense.
of it was captured.
The spirit of it was
Yes.
there. But again, we're not talking about those things. But yes, I agree that it's a good game, but burdened by its place in history.
But yes, let's talk about Donkey Kong Bonanza because, oh wow, that is an incredible game.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Bonanza is one of those like all-timer Nintendo things with such a simple idea that they are able to elaborate on and blow out to such a satisfying degree. That game is incredible. Donkey Kong Bonanza is incredible.
And importantly, though it bears the name Donkey Kong, this is a new kind of game.
Yeah.
Period. A new kind of game for Nintendo and a new kind of game for Donkey Kong, right? Like, if there is a sequel to Donkey Kong Bonanza, we are now in a new franchise, right? Despite the fact that it's Donkey Kong and Pauline,
right?
But, like, it couldn't be more new outside of the characters.
Yes, and that future of Donkey Kong Bonanza as like a franchise, I would love to see another one.
Yeah. But even if we don't, I feel like what's been added to Donkey Kong's abilities, what we can expect of like his moveset, the way he looks, his expanded cast of characters. We got new Kongs in the form of the Void Kong crew.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's all just so much, and his world is just so much bigger now than it was.
Yes, but I just wonder if it is something like 3D Mario where they're like, we've done this,
Yeah.
and now we have to figure out what the next thing is, or do they see it as a franchisable, like, oh, we can just like do a Donkey Kong Bonanza sequel and take these basic mechanics. Although I guess that's what they do with 3D Mario. It's like we take these basic mechanics, and in this case, it's like the digging, the smashing, all of that, and then figure out how else to like elaborate on it or put it in a new situation or add a new mechanic.
Yeah, but like I just wonder if like we will see Donkey Kong transformations in the future, if we'll see him associated with music more in the future,
Right.
Not that that's been absent from like they play musical instruments in Donkey Kong 64, and what else did I say?
Animal transformations.
Animal transformations, which is not really a Donkey Kong thing in other games. But yeah, like that kind of stuff. Obviously, we've seen the design from Bonanza applied to World. And I guess we haven't seen Donkey Kong since then in anything new.
Yeah, I don't think so.
He's in tennis. He's got to be, right?
Oh, yeah, probably neither of us picked that up.
Neither of us picked that up. But I believe he's looking like the new Donkey Kong. So all of that very interesting and transformative for the franchise there.
I don't have any expectation that we would have a Bonanza sequel this console generation. I think Bonanza would be it.
They've kind of kept the Bonanza thing alive with Emerald Rush, right? The DLC.
Yeah,
and doing like
which was awesome.
with them. I loved the Emerald Rush DLC for Donkey Kong Bonanza. It's sort of unbelievable that again, within like a new thing, have discovered another new thing.
Yeah,
a new like way of engaging with the mechanics of that game in a very roguelike. It's very much like Splatoon 3's side order content. They've just gotten very good at this kind of thing. And if Nintendo wants to do it, once a year forever, it'd be like, oh yeah, here's one of our games, but it's the roguelike version of it. Then, like, Godspeed. All right, let's cruising down the list here. I don't think we really need to talk about Mario Party Jamboree and Jamboree TV.
But it is the first example of these like Switch 2 editions where they are repackaging the original, like a game that was released on Switch plus adding some additional content to it
Yeah,
that's exclusive to Switch 2.
right. And I think really where Jamboree TV kind of falls apart is in that, all of the new stuff in there is based around the Switch 2 features, A, the camera, and B, the mouse controls. And it's totally cordoned off from the original version of the game. So, in the same way that Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, those are two separate experiences. This will not be true for something like Bell Park or Kirby and the Forgotten Land, that both of those are sort of folded into the main gameplay experience and aren't totally different experiences, right? It's kind of just more. And so I think they really kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit there. Could have just sold Jamboree TV as its own thing. And then, especially if they were just selling that at a $20 price point, I think it would have been a more palatable thing to show off the features of the Switch 2. This feels, and especially because it's so early, it came out in July 24th, feels like the first big miss of this console for
Although
me.
I do give a little bit of grace to launch titles, and this is essentially like a launch title because
Oh, I mean, I bought it.
yeah. Because historically, console
Right.
launches can be thin and wonky and all that kind of stuff.
Speaking of, tell me about your experience with Dragon Drive.
For the 2 hours I played it, I had a remarkably good time with it. And that, I think, was just the demo. And then I bought the game and never actually played. I don't think I ever turned on the actual game itself. I think it was just the demo that I played.
Yeah.
That I was really playing it. But for what it's trying to do, I think it works remarkably well. And I had a good time for those 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's you really got to build in some sort of mechanical system to bring players back, especially once they buy the game. We mentioned Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Starcross Worlds to me just kind of felt like more of the game that we had played, a couple years ago and enjoyed.
And because it's so short,
yes,
it's like the Kirby arc in really
miniature,
condensed form, and so it's the levels are really easy, and then the final boss is so hard compared to everything that came before. And in Forgotten Land, that's true in Forgotten Land, but you have an entire game to kind of build up to it.
Yes.
But this is 45 minutes of content, and then just this insanely hard boss battle comparatively.
I never saw that insanely hard boss battle. Was it fun?
I enjoyed my time with Forgotten or with Starcross World because it reminded me of the good time I had with Forgotten Land. It was enough of a sampler for me to be yes, I did like Forgotten Land, but not particularly memorable, I don't think.
Speaking of not particularly memorable, I don't think Pokemon Legends ZA came out on Switch and Switch 2 in October. I picked this one up and played it for a little bit. Was having fun with it, but there's and I this is also my impression of it from people who are more plugged into Pokemon, that the world is just of the Lumio City is just a little bit too samey, and it doesn't have any of the exploration fun of Arceus. So you can enjoy the nighttime fights and ranking up and all that kind of stuff, but it's all just, I don't know. It feels like a half step for the Pokemon.
It's I guess
series.
That's the downside to setting it all entirely in
totally
Lumia City.
Yeah. But sold really well on Switch 2 and Switch 1. So obviously a good stopgap for while waiting for Winds and Waves. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment and Kirby Air Riders. I'm going to lump these two together because they came out within 2 weeks of each other in November for some reason. Nintendo's release schedule getting weird towards the end of the year. I picked up Kirby Air Riders, and it's a game that is an absolute blast while you're playing it, but impossible to think about or want to play when you are not playing it. There's just so much information on screen. There are so many things to unlock. And the game is so frenetic that to protect your brain, you almost have to actively stop thinking about it when you're not playing it. But a cool game. I wish I had more desire to go back to it.
I enjoyed City Trial in the tech, test demo thing that they did. But that was enough for me. I never picked either of these games up.
I gotta say, props to both of us for not being fooled by the Muso game here. Usually one of us, usually me, falls for it and picks up a Hyrule Warriors game, but this time held strong.
Well, what was the first one called? Why am I blanking? Not the first one. The not Age of Imprisonment, but the Breath of the Wild
Age of
sequel.
Calamity.
Age of Calamity. I was so excited because I loved those characters. And then it's funny that this, I think part of my less excitement for this one was just a reflection of I didn't really care about the characters in Tears of the Kingdom near as much as I enjoyed the champions in
Well,
Breath
but
of
it's
the Wild.
important that you know that this is the canon story of what happened.
I know.
Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, after many delays, we finally get Metroid Prime at the beginning of December. Mark, you and I both played it, and I think kind of enjoyed it.
Yes, although I would say like the arc of enjoyment like started pretty
dips,
high.
yeah.
Like my first few hours, I was like, I think this is a great game.
Yeah.
And then the further you get into it, it begins to show its rough edges. But overall, I had a good time with Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, and on balance, I appreciate how prickly the end of that story is, and just like how weird the narrative is, despite the fact that they're like, here's Samus's team of dudes, and like
Yes.
everyone's gonna get characterized in different
Yeah.
ways. That like that it's still like a really lumpy, strange story is fascinating,
And ends in an unexpected way.
I would agree, which is still illuminative of Samus's character
Yes.
in a way that I like. Kind of moving forward, Animal Crossing New Horizons, there was a Switch 2 version, which I kind of forgot about.
I don't think I bought it. I don't think I spent
It
the
was
$5 or
$5.
whatever. Yeah.
But also, you could access the new content without spending $5,
yeah, except for the megaphone.
except for the megaphone. That's right. And maybe like the Mario crossover stuff. No, maybe not. No, not Mario. What was the crossover?
Oh,
The
right.
Zelda stuff.
Zelda stuff.
Yeah.
No, I think that was in the Switch 1 version too.
Yeah, speaking of stuff we didn't check out, Mario Tennis Fever. This feels like the first big commercial flop of the Switch 2.
Right, potentially a milestone because it makes Nintendo potentially step back and be like,
We're projecting a narrative here. Yes.
Yes, that's right. Well, because we'll never know for sure,
Right.
or at least not anytime soon. But seemingly, the Nintendo got spooked by the poor sales of Mario Tennis Fever, and we're like, maybe we can't price all these games at $70.
I mean, I just think that there's like two things happening here. And one is like, there's a perfectly serviceable Mario Tennis game on this platform already. Like, there's no absence there's no slot for this thing to fill, and then charge $70 for it, where it's like, well, okay, or no, we just won't buy it.
And the reviews weren't that good.
And the reviews weren't that good. The
Yeah.
reviews were fine, but like, they're basically the same as Aces were. So, what are you going to do? Then there was also a Switch 2 version of Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. The Switch 1 version of this had come out like a year previous. It was a small upgrade, $5, but it used some of that like DLSS, like upscaling, and it made some of the textures wonky. So I know that there are a lot of people that like did it and then requested refunds.
Right, and that they just prefer the Switch 1 version running on the Switch 2.
Yeah.
I don't know if Nintendo ever fixed that or if that just is what it is.
I think that just is what it is. So maybe less of a controversy, I think, because it was $5 and they agreed to refund people.
And it was Xenoblade Chronicles X.
So like, who really cares?
Yeah.
And also, 2 weeks later, Pokemon Pokopia comes out.
Yes, the surprise hit of 2026.
A surprise to some.
A surprise to some,
but not to me.
not the more discerning.
It was revealed at the only Nintendo Direct that we got during this time, the September Direct in 2025. And I was like, that game is Dragon Quest Builders, but with Pokemon. They're going to sell a ton of these things, and it's going to be great. And they did, and I have played it, and I love it. And it, again, like Donkey Kong Bonanza, is truly a new type of game, a new way to engage with Pokemon. I hope they make these forever. There's been like, leaked or like some data mining that there are that there's like DLC planned for this, with up to 100 Pokemon and 5 new areas. So like
5 new areas, that's like a whole new game.
It's like a whole new game, yeah. So I don't know what schedule we can expect that on, but we're not going to have a new Pokemon game this November, so maybe this will stand in
Oh,
for that.
yeah.
Um,
Interesting.
but yeah, I mean it's such a good game. I really really like it. Is I think for me an easy the reason to get a Switch to. I loved Bonanza. I think I like Pokopia better than Bonanza.
Wow. Okay.
It's I mean and again, the fact that both of those games are like new things is sort of staggering to me.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. Not because you had talked about how much you love Pokopia, but just because Pokemon is generally not our thing. So for you to
Totally.
love it that much, I think just speaks even
Yeah.
more to how good of a game it is.
Yeah, and the Pokemon freaks in my life that have played it and loved it, like are similarly glowing. I have to assume that there's a contingent of like Pokemon fans that are frustrated by the lack of battling in the game.
I don't know. I haven't. I feel like I haven't.
It just feels
If
like
they
there
are, they're in the
should be,
darker,
right?
darker corners of the
Yeah,
internet.
you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
And then briefly mentioned it earlier, the Meetup at Bellabelle Park DLC, or not DLC, but the expansion to the Super Mario Brothers Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 edition. I enjoyed this a lot too.
I need to get back to
You need
it.
to get back to
I
it.
liked what I was playing
Yeah.
of the Captain
Toad Brigade
Toad
challenges,
Brigade
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta and play through all those boss fights and then play through the hard versions of the boss fights because they are like you got to do a little digging to find the great content in Meetup at Bellabelle Park, but it is there. Challenging, fair Mario 2D platforming.
The beginning of it is awful.
Hey,
Just because
man.
it talks, it
It
explains
talks
so much. Yeah.
Yes, it's just like Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour.
Yeah.
And then the last like big first party game that came out within the first year here is of course Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, which I have previously said is Goodfield's magnum opus. I think it is them actually shifting the priorities of the gameplay away from the sort of franchise conventions and more to what Goodfield likes to do, which is discovery based, it's exploration based, it's experimentation based. Is a very fun and cool game. Not obviously as deep or kind of world shattering as Bonanza or Pokopia, but a very cool game.
But like, you look at this lineup of Nintendo Switch 2 stuff, right? Because there is the first party Switch 1 games that you could play on Switch 2. But you look at this lineup and you're like, it's not a bad mix. Like it feels like a Switch 2018. It feels like, you know what I mean? Like it feels like in a TikTok cycle, it's like the talk year of these like release cadences. It's obviously going to be forever unfair to compare any console launch year to the 2017 launch of the Switch, which was just like
one of the greatest years for Nintendo games, period.
Yes.
Yeah. But you have to.
But like, I again like Donkey Kong Bonanza in July was the last like big first party Switch 2 exclusive that I bought. Yes, I picked up Dragon Drive. Yes, I played Starcross World. But like as far as like premier stuff goes,
yeah,
for me it was one game. Two, Mario Kart World. But it's just been since July. So it's just weird. It's just weird.
Right. Well, but because you've been playing so many of the third-party games that start to come out in February and March, if those weren't there, I wonder if you would have given Pokopia a chance.
Yes, that's totally true. And of course, there are the Switch 1 supplement stuff. So I was playing other first-party
That's true. Right.
Switch Nintendo games, but just weird to pick up a new console and be like, and July was the last time I bought a Switch 2 exclusive that, 1 month after the Switch's launch was the last big exclusive that I was really excited for.
So let's just touch on the Switch 1 first party games. And we'll skip over the ones that were released kind of simultaneously on Switch 2. But Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 came out in October. You picked these up. I picked these up.
Yeah. I played some of 2.
Yeah.
I didn't end up finishing it, but I enjoyed what I played.
Those games rock. It's can't imagine now not having them on my Switch. Funny that I only played one and I could have done that on my copy
Right.
of Super Mario 3D All Stars, but
Right.
whatever. Um, Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green came out in February 27th. I picked up Fire Red, no, Leaf Green, and so I played some of that
That's
before.
right. And if I ever pick one up, it's
That's
my
right.
responsibility to buy Fire Red.
Right, and to remember which one it is,
Yeah.
because I will forget. Pokemon Champions came out on April 8th. I think the bugs are still being worked on that, generally speaking, and features being added to it. But kind of more impactfully, Tomodachi Life Living the Dream comes out April 16th. Mark, I think you put way more time into this than like you let on the show.
Well, I don't. Here's what I think happened.
Yeah.
Because I did get my island up to like level 55, and we were something like that. When we were talking about it in the Discord, people were like, "Whoa!" But I think what happened was that I don't know that I put a ton of hours into it. I would have to look at my playtime. I would guess 10, 15, something like that. But maybe even less. But I think the way I was playing it was like I was trying to like min max the system or something. I like went in and was like feeding all of my island residents to like their max fullness. And when I was comparing notes with people in the Discord, they're like, "Huh, like no, I don't do that at all. I spend time enjoying, like the social aspects of it." I was like, "Huh." So yes, my island was really high, but I also don't think that it was that developed because I didn't have that many Miis on it, and I didn't feel like I was having the fullness of the experience that I was like seeing from clips online.
Yeah.
And I had a good time with it, but I have not thought about it at all since I stopped like checking in on it.
Yeah, it's such an interesting like kind of thing to happen. Obviously a lot of people are playing it on Switch too, but it's a Switch 1 game, and I think for there to be a like Switch 1 hit this late into that console's life cycle, we're talking like the 10th year. It's just insane. So,
Yeah.
but also cool. Third party games, I guess some of the stuff we've already talked about. Resident Evil Requiem and Pragmata. Mark, you played both of those. What a fun treat Resident Evil Requiem was.
Oh yeah, I really love that game. Did you end up finishing it?
No.
Oh, okay, that's totally fine. But someday
I
when
would
you
still
finish
like to.
it,
I would
I
still
do
like
want to talk to you about it because I just think it's a really interesting game, and when we did our discussion on it, we really had just scratched the surface of what was happening in
Yes.
it. For in all types of ways. So yes, but yeah, it's been so fun to have these big third party titles on Switch 2 day and date with other systems. Also, it's just been fun. Some of these late ports. I put so much time into Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I have Rebirth on deck for some point in my life.
Yeah, let's talk just a little bit about Square Enix and their presence on Switch 2 and Switch 1 during this time. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D, Octopath Traveler 0, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Intergrade, and Rebirth, Final Fantasy Tactics The Evilise Chronicles, and Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. That's almost as many games as Nintendo put out.
Which
on
I think
Switch
I
2.
bought Dragon Quest VII Reimagined.
Yeah. Did you?
I think I might. How much money have I spent on games this year?
I don't know. I think a lot.
I think maybe too much. Because, yeah, I think I really got... I'm pretty sure I bought that.
I played the demo of that and really liked it. But, anything that was coming out in or around Pokemon Pokopia was just going to get kind of kicked to the side here. Weirdly, let's see. I don't know what else do we want to talk about here. The indie games. Obviously, I played a ton of Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silksong. Neither of us are Hollow Knight guys, but that a big game. Mina the Hollower currently playing. Blueprints, Mixtape, all the like big indie.
Oh yeah,
games.
I feel like Blueprints showing up. I think just on Switch 2, right? That didn't get released on Switch.
That's right. And it was shadow dropped as of the last.
That's right.
Indie World Showcase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun to have that on Nintendo platform.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then, other like big third party games, Star Wars Outlaws came out last year. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which Mark you are playing now.
Yeah, that's right.
Someday James Bond will come out on this thing, but we
Yeah,
don't know when.
I guess we have no reason to think that it won't. It's really only Borderlands 4, which we didn't really talk about, but was
Yes.
supposed to release day and date on Switch 2 with the other platforms in like September when that game launched. But then, similar to what we've seen with James Bond, a little bit before the release date, they announced that the Switch 2 version would be delayed while they focused their attention on the other platforms, and then have since announced that it's been delayed indefinitely while they just put their efforts onto continued support on the other platforms. So, but we have not seen that really outside. We haven't seen a big third-party game be basically canceled outside of Borderlands 4.
Yeah.
So we, I guess, don't have any reason to think that'll happen with 007, but we don't have a date yet for when that game will release. Oh, also, that game is reviewed incredibly well. So that really did pique my interest more than I was before those reviews.
Yeah, and I'm since Star Wars Outlaws and Indiana Jones and Resident Evil and Pragmata all seem to be, and the Final Fantasy VII games all seem to be playing pretty well on the system. I'm like, yeah, let's just do it all. Like,
I know.
let's just put it all on Switch too.
I know. Star Wars Outlaws, that's one I have on my watch list, because if it ever goes on like deep sale on the eShop, I would like to pick it up.
It's an Ubisoft game. It will get there at some point. All right, cool. So our next bullet point here is NSO. We've talked about GameCube and the sort of like mixed reception that we've had to that. But of course, I think the biggest NSO data point here is the Virtual Boy.
Yeah, wild. What a February.
What a February. They were releasing it with these two peripherals, one made of cardboard, one made of plastic, and sort of like emulating the experience of playing the original Virtual Boy, jamming your head inside a thing. It launched with a set of 7 games in February. Then we got 2 more, Mario's Tennis and Mario Clash, in March, and then all the rest of them, except for the 2 that had previously not been released, came out in the middle of May. I have not turned it back on since like right after Mario's Tennis and Clash came out.
Oh yeah, I have not turned it on since release.
Yeah.
What another perfect example of like where it's like, well, I'm glad it exists.
I'm glad it exists, but I will never engage with this.
Right.
It feels like such a weird. So it's basically been out there for like 4 months, and within 3 months they released all but 2 of the games.
I know.
When are they gonna? I don't understand what the strategy is here.
I don't really either, especially because they were like, in the first year, we'll release the like 11 games or whatever, and then yeah,
and it's more than that. It's like 14 or something like that. Like it's a good chunk of the library.
Yeah,
although not all of it. So yeah, we're still waiting on 2 games, and I would like to get into play the games that have been added before those last 2 come out, but I gotta check out the last 2. Those are never before released. These are games that nobody has played.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Gotta get in there. And then just have a little list of like other what I have deemed notable additions to NSO over the last year. Mario Paint, hell yeah. I went through a phase here where I was just making little Mario Paint tunes and then uploading them to the Discord and texting them to my friends.
It's fun that they're taking advantage of like the mouse mode for stuff like this on Switch too.
That's right. And on the same thing, Mario and Wario, which was a Japanese Super Famicom exclusive, right? That is mouse controlled. We got that over here. Kid Icarus of Myth and Monsters on the Game Boy came out in November. Mario versus Donkey Kong I have here from Mario Day this year. Kind of weird, this GBA game that they did a remake of, 2 years ago?
Yeah. When was that? But 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think it was 2024.
Oh, probably. That was like a weird year for Nintendo, yeah.
Which is cool. And then at the time of this recording, not yet released, but at the time of the episode coming out, Donkey Kong 64 has made its way to the Nintendo 64, which like those are some notable games from those libraries.
Yep.
All right. Any other stuff you want to talk about? Obviously, there were a bunch of amiibo that came out this year, a talking flower toy, a Mario movie, I suppose.
A weird year for Amiibo, I would say. Just like not like weird as in bad, but weird as in okay, Amiibo are back. Like
Amiibo are back.
Amiibo is happening. There was
Yes.
a little bit of question of that, I would say, by the end of the Switch generation. There were some that were announced, but
Well, and what's weird is the sales of the Street Fighter and Tears of the Kingdom Zelda like Sage amiibo did not suggest to me that they were like, yes, and amiibo is crushing it.
no, and like the Donkey Kong and Pauline one
Sure.
seemed like it was on sale immediately,
Right.
like after it was released. So
Well, and sort of at that point, some of these amiibo, like the Kirby Air Riders one after the first set, those and the Mario Galaxy amiibo both were like revealed at one price and then sold at launch for another. Like
Right.
they already revised them down $5.
yeah.
So and since then, all the rest of the amiibo have been like priced at sort of like more reasonable levels, still high compared to when amiibo first came out, but it seems like they've calmed down a little bit. I still think that Kirby Air Riders like King DDD amiibo is like $65 or something insane like that. And it frustrates me to no end that for the 6th Kirby Air Rider amiibo, they're doing like a alternate version of one of the characters.
I know.
It makes me so mad because I want to buy these things. I think they're cool, but like an alternate, dude, there are like 30 characters in the game.
I know.
I don't care about Dark DDD. Who
know.
cares?
I know it doesn't.
Makes me
It's
so
baffling.
mad.
It's so baffling.
And they're so expensive.
They're so expensive. But yeah, it really makes me feel like okay, any question I had about if Amiibo was still happening, Amiibo are still happening.
Totally right. And then obviously we've seen Capcom sort of embrace the Amiibo kind of throughout, but like this generation, this year, we've got that Diana Amiibo, which is out currently from Pragmata, and the Resident Evil Requiem Amiibo for Grace and Leon are coming out this summer, and then the 3 Monster Hunter Story Amiibos. So
right,
yeah, they're for some reason supporting that.
When was the Minoru one? The Minoru construct. When was that revealed?
It was revealed recently.
Oh no, not when it became available for pre-orders. When was it first announced? I guess
it was first announced during the Switch 2.
With the other ones.
Yeah.
Got it. Oh, and so that will not make the Switch the first year.
No, not
the
by
pre-orders
a long shot.
up.
Right.
When does it release? September?
I think it releases in September.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, kind of insane that is still that's on the ledger here. That we will still get that at some point. Talking Flower, I mentioned it.
I don't need one, but when my like I was playing Wonder with my nieces and nephews last month, it made me think, oh, that might be a fun surprise to send to them.
Yeah, that's cute.
Because they have really enjoyed Wonder.
I assume their parents will hate it.
Probably, but they can turn it off. That's
try.
why I can be the fun uncle.
And then, of course, 2 phone games that Nintendo published, right? We've got this Fire Emblem Shadows, which by all accounts, seems to be kind of a dud, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like the initial reviews were not very positive, and you don't really hear much about it.
It's got like a social component, like Werewolf, where like one person is
like
working
Among
against
Us
the
type
other
thing.
2. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know that Fire Emblem is a good vehicle for that sort of thing.
An interesting experiment, if nothing else.
Totally.
A surprise that they're still doing it.
Speaking of, Pictonico recently came out, which uses the cameras the photos on your camera roll and makes WarioWare games out of them.
Yep.
So I think that's it. I think that's the year. I did say a new Mario movie.
We're acknowledging it happened.
Very good, but that falls in the bucket of things we're not going to talk.
Yeah, that's right.
A movie that didn't work for Mark and I. But that's the first year of the Nintendo Switch 2. Sitting here 1 year later, having like kind of gone through everything and expressed our, I would say maybe more frustrations than I would have expected us to. How are you feeling about the first year?
Yeah, like I really love my Switch 2. Um I am loving being able to play these third-party games that previously I wasn't experiencing. And I really love Donkey Kong Bonanza, but I think there's just no getting around it that a Nintendo generation is in a lot of ways going to be defined by the 3D Mario experience
Right.
and the Zelda experience. And since those are absent,
Forthcoming, yeah.
like that, it really is just kind of like, in some ways I feel like we're in a holding pattern until we understand what that looks like. And Nintendo has a great lineup for year 2, the ones that we know about, right? Like, it's kicking off strong. They have a new Star Fox game. That's crazy. They have this Splatoon Raiders that looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I love Salmon Run, and it seems like it's based on that. But I still feel like we're like,
And Fire Emblem.
and Fire Emblem, which
Fortune's
which
Weave, yeah.
hopefully for me will be more in the mold of Three Houses, because
It seems to be in the world of Three Houses, if nothing else.
but I just feel like it's really, I just feel like as far as first party stuff goes, with those two big things looming, it's hard to define what the Switch 2 is going to be.
Yeah, well, and it's also like you're right that like the Mario defines that, the Zelda defines that, but so too do the like, surprise hits that like pierce the veil, right? And like obviously Animal Crossing was that, but I think in some ways Fire Emblem Three Houses was that, and Luigi's Mansion 3 was that, like games that were surprisingly like big relevant big relevant hits. At Smash, obviously, which is not a surprise. Like that could easily be just another pillar. But the fact that Switch One in its first like year and a half has Kart, 3D Mario, 3D Zelda, and Smash is such a good foundation for all of these littler games to be well positioned to pierce the veil, right?
Right.
And don't need a pandemic to lock people down in their homes and then role play being social with Animal Crossing, right? That's a once in a lifetime, good, fingers crossed, knock on wood, situation. But all the other games that were like pretty good and then broke out were just so well set up, and I don't think even something like Pokemon Pokopia, which is doing well and is like becoming part of the Nintendo player zeitgeist, that would do so much better on the heels of a great 3D Zelda. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
but we are expecting a Nintendo Direct, in the next few weeks.
boy, we sure are.
And so I think a lot will be revealed. Historically in June, they're of course going to show off what they have for the rest of this year, and then
start teasing
usually
stuff for
start
next year.
teasing stuff
Yeah.
for 2027. So, yeah, I think we'll know a lot more in a few weeks.
Yes. All right, Mark. That is the first year of the Nintendo Switch 2. Let's close this out. Okay, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, you should be in our Discord if you're not. Again, we think a Nintendo Direct is going to happen here pretty soon. Get in there. Email us. We'll send you an invitation. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening. Mark, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I feel like whenever we pre-record an episode like this,
We're tempting fate.
well, a little bit.
Yeah.
But I believe that there's not going to be any big news this week,
Right.
or last week.
That's right. That will change what the entire character of the first year of the Switch 2.
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like the character of the first year of the Switch 2 is pretty. It's in the books, right?
I think so too.
I think we can stamp it done.
We're really tempting fate now.
I know. I like to tempt fate. I figure why not?
You only live once. YOLO.
So wise. We're going to dive into that in a second. First, of course, just want to mention the Patreon. Patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society. You can go over there, and if you are supporting us at the 8-bit or 16-bit levels, you get access to our once-a-month episodes of miniseries like NCS at the movies.
Yes, where Patrick, myself, and usually a special guest are going to the movies together and then talking about them. We're going to be putting out an episode about Disclosure Day later this week, probably.
Yeah, over the weekend, we'll be recording a conversation about Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day.
But
Admiral Akbar's in this one, right?
I hope so, finally. We've all been waiting for Steven. Ever since Hook, we've been waiting for Steven Spielberg to play in the sandbox that is Admiral Akbar.
Right. Well, because there was a little bit where Akbar was in line for the Dustin Hoffman role in that movie, right?
The
titular role.
Yeah. That's right. That is interesting. Is it? I said it's interesting, but is it interesting that movie is named after Captain Hook and not Peter Pan? I don't feel like the text supports that in any way.
I mean, because the movie is about Peter Pan.
Right.
Panning. It's his arc.
We don't have time for this.
We've got a whole year of Switch 2 to reflect on.